Welcome to Undercurrents of Romance, the show that celebrates every subgenre of romantic fiction. In each episode, I peel back the layers of your favorite love stories and chat with the talented authors who bring them to life. I'm your host, Tracey Devlyn. Now, let's dive in with today's guest. Hello, romantics. I'm here with USA Today bestselling author Joanna Shupe to talk about her new historical romance, The Gilded Heiress. Welcome to the show, Joanna.
Hello. Thank you for having me, Tracy.
Oh, my pleasure. It's so good to see you. We were just talking before I hit the record how long it's been since last we were face to face, which is way, way too long. So,
Yes,
yeah, it's
indeed.
good
Indeed.
pleasure to see you.
Same.
Uh, in reading this book and knowing where you're located in the world, I have to ask, how wonderful is it to have such an amazing research center, aka New York City, in your backyard?
It's really great. You know, I'm only 30 minutes outside the city. I'm there quite often. I love to go see the buildings and the museums and shows. And I mean, I just went to go see the John Singer Sargent exhibit at the
Oh,
Metropolitan Museum of Art, which I raced there because it was closing, August 3rd. So I had to race in there like August 1st. I mean, I barely made it. But things
yeah.
like that, I'm so grateful that I live where I live because
Hmm.
it does make it easy to take advantage of all
Yeah. Yeah.
those wonderful things.
Well, I'm glad you do because I lived, outside of Chicago for umpteen years. And now that I'm away from that area and I live in North Carolina now, I'm like, why didn't I take more advantage of the city when I was there, Because I think about some of the things that I should have done and didn't do. It's like you take it, yeah, it's like I was taking it for granted that it would always be there and I could get to it at any time. It's just a really interesting thing.
Yeah, and
So,
Chicago's a great Gilded Age city
oh,
too. I lived there for
yeah.
7 years. So like
Oh,
The
okay.
Wrigley building and
Yeah.
even like Wrigley Field and just all the Mag Mile stuff that was built
Hmm.
so long ago. It's a great Gilded Age city.
Yeah. I never thought about it that way. It always seems such a modern, city to me. I never even thought about that historical part of it. But
Yeah, like
yeah,
Marshall
no.
Fields down on State Street. I
Yeah.
mean, all of that
Yeah.
is, very
Oh my
historic. Yeah.
I remember whenever they changed the name of Marshall Fields and everybody just mourned that it was such a staple for the city. It's just
It's very
crazy.
sad. It's always
Hmm.
Marshall Fields to me.
Yeah, same. Same. Well, why don't you get us started and tell us about yourself and your writing journey, just, whatever you'd like to share with us.
Oh, sure. So I have always been a historical fan. Grew up reading Johanna Lindsey and Julie Garwood and Jude
Yeah.
Deveraux and Judith McNaught and all these sort of old school historical books. Um, I went to college. I read really all through high school and college, read romance. And when I graduated from college, my sister, I was living at home waiting tables, figuring out what I was going to do. And my oldest sister kind of dared me to write a romance novel. And
As sisters do.
as they
Yes.
do. And she was like, well, the hard part is coming up with ideas. The easy part, I'll help you come up with an idea and then you can sit down and write it. And it's actually the complete opposite. I
Yeah.
mean, as you
Right.
know, the actual
Yeah.
writing is the hard part. So
Yeah.
she's like, didn't know what she was talking about. But I would come home from waiting tables every night. I would write from like 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. and then sleep until noon, get up and go to work, and then just rinse and repeat for
Yeah.
a long time. And pretty
Oh,
soon the
wow.
novel was done, and my mom thought it was great. And so I put it under my bed and forgot about it. And when I met my husband, I was working in New York for a Broadway producer, and I was in a very, very, very miserable job. And my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, said, really felt bad about my mental health and said, is there anything you
Yeah.
that would bring you joy? Is there anything that would make you happy other than just laying around feeling sorry for yourself? And I said, Well, actually, I wrote a romance novel once, and someday I may try to get it out and polish it up and sell it. And I kind of expected him to laugh, but he was so supportive and has all of this editing and writing experience in his background. And so he said, I think that's amazing. Get it out. I'll help you polish it.
Aw,
Let's go.
love that.
So, I mean, really, like, I don't know how I would be able to do what I do without him. I mean, he does all
Mhm.
the heavy lifting in the house. He edits some of my books for me, helps me edit some of my books. You know, it's like both just with the kids and the house and the
Yeah.
writing, he has been so supportive. So that's sort of how I came about doing it. You know, I just never gave up. Like I really thought um, the more I wrote, the better I would get at it, the more backlist I would have out. I started out with a Regency series because I wanted to write Gilded Age novels, but I didn't think any publisher would give me the time of day if I tried to write Gilded Age novels. So I started with a Regency series, and that got published, and then I pitched them a Gilded Age novel. Um, and they didn't quite know what the Gilded Age was, but they were willing to take a risk. And so then I sort of dipped my toe into the Gilded Age and never left.
Yeah. Well,
So,
I'm so glad that you didn't. This was such a great story. The Gilded Heiress. Again, I'll put up the book here. It's I know our listeners can't see the beautiful cover, but it is a very what I consider kind of an iconic cover. A little different than what you've had on your covers before, where you had the couples, the historical couple. Um, what can you tell us about Josie and Leo's story? I always like to leave it up to the author so that I don't give away any spoilers, but what's like an overview of this story that you can share?
yeah, so the inspiration was Anastasia, the Disney movie with Meg Ryan and John Cusack voicing the
Ah,
characters. So I love the idea of I'm a big fan of the Lindbergh baby story, um, which was a baby that was stolen in the early 20th century from Charles Lindbergh, who was the famous aviator. A baby was stolen from his house, from he and his wife's house in New York, and it just became a big mystery over the next, um, months, what happened to the baby. And, uh, there's all it's legendary because not only of Lindbergh's celebrity, but of also um, the way that the police bungled the investigation. So
mm,
it's one of those cases that is studied for various reasons. And so I really wanted to mix this idea of a lost heiress with the Lindbergh baby kidnapping and Anastasia. So it's sort of like all mixed in my mind of like there was a baby who was kidnapped from a very wealthy, picture the Vanderbilts. I mean, they are the
mm,
most wealthy family in the country. The baby is kidnapped. There's a reward offered, which the Lindberghs certainly did. Um, and the baby's never found. So, and
mm,
then, we discover there's this orphan. Her name is Josie. She's in Boston. She's grown up in an orphanage. She has this amazing singing voice and has dreams of going on to Broadway. So for me, it was like, how do we take an heiress who's lost and yet she might be the real heiress?
mhm.
So that's sort of how, and of course, in Anastasia, the hero is a con man, and I always love the idea of sort of a morally gray. Is he a good guy? Is he a bad
Yeah.
guy? Hero, because really, in that era, I mean, it was hard to make a living for a
Mhm,
regular person. I mean, if you were not a
mhm.
tycoon or from a wealthy family, that was a hard day's work. I mean, you see the pictures of the factory workers, people that lived on the street, you know, um, young boys selling newspapers to earn pennies. I mean, it was a hard, hard, hard living.
Yeah.
And so con men were rampant. You know, there's all kinds of stories of con men and con women in that era. So I thought that was fascinating to try to
Yeah.
take one of these con men and see his backstory a little bit, gain a little sympathy, and give him, you know, a chance to redeem himself.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's funny that you brought up the Lindbergh because now things are some of the things that you put in the book really resonate a lot more with me now, and so I really loved. Again, I'm going to try not to give away spoilers here, but I really loved the kind of the backstory that we learn about how Josie ended up in the orphanage, right? So when she was kidnapped, she was taken to Boston, and then how she ended up in the orphanage because when you think about it, there were no telephones, there was
Right.
no way for them to know that this thing happened to the person who kidnapped her, and so that's really that I really loved how you did that, and I really loved Leo's last con. So I'm just going to say that. I mean, those were just great moments in there. Some of it's a little bit quieter than the other, but it was really really well done. And I assume you're probably following the HBO Gilded Age
Yes,
series.
yes, yes,
Yes,
yes,
yeah.
yes, of
How did
course.
you like Sunday's season
Oh my God.
finale?
I need to rewatch. I was dying the whole time. Like just like I have a friend that I watch it with, and I also watch it with my reader group on Facebook. So I was
Yeah,
messaging both her and the reader group just the whole time. And I feel like
yeah.
I missed so much. So I cannot wait to watch it again. But
Yeah.
what an absolute barn burner of a
Oh my
season it
gosh,
was. Season
right?
three really just kicked it up to a new
Yeah.
level. I
Yeah.
love it.
I
Love.
know. I loved I mean all the characters. I really really I think they did such a great job casting those characters. But there's something this might say a lot about me, but I really love kind of that ruthlessness that Bertha and George have. Just oh my gosh.
Yes.
But the TV series, I feel like they did a really nice job showing the ins and outs and hierarchy of New York's high society, plus the black society there and the servants. But what I loved about your book, The Gilded Heiress, is that you took it like one step further and you showed us what everyday people had to do to survive. And that's kind of going back to what you were saying a little bit earlier, where you've got an orphan who wants to be a singer, you have a con artist who that's the way he's surviving. That's the way he's taking care of his family, his sisters and his mom. And then his mom's a seamstress, right? So she's also a widow. And it just, I really thought you did an amazing job getting, not going too deeply, but getting into those characters' lives and showing us that it was a struggle for
Yeah.
survival at
Well,
that time for a lot of folks.
I've written so many of George Russell's and Bertha Russell. I mean,
Yeah,
the characters from the Gilded Age series. I mean, the
right.
Tycoon, like I've written so many of those that this one felt like I really wanted to show you know, the class differences, the working class struggles. I've
Hmm.
done some of that, but not a lot of that. And so I felt like it was
Hmm.
really important for both of them to just be people, you know, of a low middle class, lower middle class, you know, poor background,
Hmm.
just trying to make ends meet and what
Right.
that might look like. I mean, Josie has to do her own laundry. I mean, they have to
Yeah.
make their own meals. I mean, she doesn't know anything about what it's like to have servants or, you know, people doing things for her. So
Right.
that was really the goal, was to show more of the class struggles.
So just maybe we back up just a smidge here. So as you were saying a little bit earlier, readers are probably a little bit more familiar with the Regency and Victorian historical romances in that era, but some might not be as familiar with the Gilded Age. Can you tell us what sets this particular time period apart from those others, and what did compel you to set your books, that you wrote the Regency, but you really wanted to write the Gilded Age. Do you know what was kind of driving you there?
Well, I think for me, it was sort of a discover, I have family that came through Ellis Island, so I sort of know like the late 19th century in New York has always fascinated me, that sort of immigrant's journey. Um, then when you flip that with the extreme wealth at the time, of like the Astors and the Vanderbilts and Carnegie and um, the Fishes and the Stuyvesants and just all of the incredible wealth um, of the era, and it's you see the all the industry and the technological advances that happen in that time period. I mean, it's really I always like to say it's when America that we know sort of takes shape. We're
Hmm.
no longer a rural farming nation. We become cities and telephones and railroads and you know um, sort of all the modern conveniences
Yeah.
that we recognize. Um, so I don't know why I don't know why I'm drawn to it. I find it endlessly fascinating.
Yeah.
Um, I do in my newsletter every week, I do a comparison to sort of what we are seeing right now in
Mm.
America as compared to what happened in the Gilded Age with the tariffs and the immigration issues and the rollback of women's rights and reproductive rights and corruption and the extreme wealth disparity. I mean, I just find it fascinating, both from a
Hmm.
historical perspective and sort of from a current events perspective.
And to
Um,
give our listeners kind of an idea of the time frame, we're talking late 1800s, early 1900s. Is that fair?
right. So the Gilded Age runs about 1870 to 1910. So if it's really um, what's happening in as reconstruction is failing in the South, the Gilded Age is what's happening in the North, in the
Okay.
industrial cities. But it's the
Okay.
same time period there after the Civil War.
Okay. All right. Great. Great. All right. Well, one of the things that I like to dive into on this show is finding the story's undercurrent with the author, and it's what I call that second beating heart of the story, and it tends to flow beneath the lover's journey and helps propel the story forward. What undercurrent is flowing beneath Josie and Leo's story, do you think?
Well, I I'd be curious to hear what readers think once the book has been what the book has been out. What I intended was sort of found family. Um, you know, Leo has a big family, but he is has become sort of the de facto patriarch because his father has passed. And Josie has no family. Um, so that she knows of. So I thought it was sort of a found family, um, little bit of a journey, but maybe it's more about class and the differences in class and how people are treated and how um, money, makes can make lives simpler.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's what I thought I was doing, but I'll be curious to see what readers think.
Well, and you might find that it's, all of the above, because one of the things I've learned in asking this question a number of times is that there's more than one undercurrent, in these stories. And that's why they're so much fun. They're so rich stories. It's not just about, the 30 pages or 15 pages of under the sheets or behind the closed door or whatever you want to call it. There's so much richness to these stories, and that's what I want to get across to folks who maybe haven't read a romance yet. That these books pack a big wallop with regards to the story itself. So
For
that's
sure,
always
for sure.
yeah, yeah, you bet. All right, well, let's switch gears just a smidge here. This is obviously a romance, and our readers love our our romance readers love the tropes. What are two or three that you think readers can look forward to with this story?
Well, certainly, the morally gray hero. I think Josie is sort of a strong female character. I think you've got like a little bit of road trip romance in there because they do go on a road trip together. Only one sleigh. I mean, there is a point where they have to hide in a sleigh together and things get out of hand.
Mhm. Or in hand, if you
Or or whatever the case may be. Um,
Oh,
yeah, maybe a little bit of friends to lovers. Um, yeah, I don't know. What am I
yeah, no, those
forgetting?
are
I'm
great.
probably
No,
forgetting some.
I think you could throw found family in there too. I think that's a good one as well. I think that's you mentioned that earlier, so that's great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
class differences. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and maybe even a little bit of close forced proximity because they end up in the
Yes.
apartment together and that sort of thing too. So yeah, there's a lot there to love. So that's great. That's great. What romance book have you read recently that you'd recommend, and maybe why?
Um, I am um in the middle of like 3 or 4 different romances that are all really good. I'm rereading Gabriella and His Grace, which is Liana de la Rosa's upcoming historical that releases the same day as mine. And they are stuck on a boat together, and enemies to lovers, force proximity on a boat. It's
Yeah.
great. Um, I'm reading Andy J. Christopher's upcoming contemporary that takes place in the F1 sports car driving universe, which is called Faster. And that's really good. I'm trying to think what else I'm reading. It's always hard for me to remember because like I
Yeah, yeah.
read
No,
I
that's
and,
great.
and I like to read I reread some Susan Elizabeth Phillips not too long
Mm,
ago just as like comfort,
yes.
comfort reads. That's like to me that's always like a summertime. She for some reason is a summertime comfort read.
Yeah,
So,
she's great.
yeah.
Yeah. All right, good, good, good. Well, we're going behind the scenes just a little bit. Last couple questions here. Is there a story that you'd like to write but just haven't yet for whatever reason?
Well, um I I think that the older I get, the less I think I shouldn't. With everything, really.
Yeah.
Um, so
That's great.
um, I think the book that I'm writing now, which is the second book in this series for Avon, is a book that I've been thinking about for a while because I like the idea of a woman being trapped in a terrible marriage. And a lot of women in that era, in
Mm,
the 19th century, would have been married off to somebody you probably just met or
yes. Yeah.
had never met. You would barely know them.
Hmm.
And if you chose poorly, that is a disaster. I
Yeah.
mean, you're stuck with that person. There's no
Lifelong
divorce.
sentence. Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
no divorce. There's no getting out of it. So this book that I'm working on, which is the follow-up to The Gilded Heiress, is based on Beauty and the Beast. And it's if Belle was married to Gaston, but he was a terrible husband.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so then she meets the Beast, but she's married. So how does it
Love
all
it.
unfold?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and the Beast and Gaston have a history, have a past. They hate each other. So she's Yeah. So that's what I'm writing right now, and it's kind of a different you have to when she's married, it becomes a totally different plot structure because there
Yeah.
isn't the meet cute and then it's slow burn develops into
Yeah.
something physical. Like it's she's sort of off the table until she's out of the marriage. So it's been
Yeah.
challenging for me, but in a good way. I don't know if readers will like it, but I'm really enjoying writing it.
Oh, good. Well, I'm sure readers will love it because I think when authors really enjoy writing what they're writing, that comes through in the text, and yeah, I think that that sets it up for success for sure.
I hope
And then
so.
yeah, we will see. Hopefully next year, maybe. Is that when you're thinking it might come out
I
next
think it
year?
probably will be the year after if I had
The
to
year after.
guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
All
probably
right. Great.
2027.
27. Okay. So when you get stuck on a scene, what is your go-to move? Do you go for a walk? Do you go get a snack? Do you call a friend? Take a
I
shower?
probably would definitely call a friend. I would call Diana Quincy. She's the one that has to listen to me, like, you know, work through all my or I would ask my husband who usually has good ideas.
Yeah.
Um but I am a big believer that if you're stuck, it's not the right like something's wrong.
Okay.
Like there's something I don't usually get writer's block. I don't have time to sit down and write, but,
Yeah.
I usually think if it's writer's block, there's a reason why I'm not
Mm-hmm.
invested in the story or that I just don't care. So how
Right.
can I make myself care and make the reader care?
Yeah. Yeah. So you have to kind of figure out how to um, get past that, whatever's wrong with the story. You have
Right,
to
like
figure
either
that
undo
out.
it,
Yeah.
like you've
Mm-hmm.
zigged where you should have zagged, or, you just have to kind of go back and look at where you went wrong is what I usually try to do.
All right. Great. Well, folks, when this episode airs, The Gilded Heiress will be out, so be sure to order your copy today. You can check out Joanna's website at joannashupe.com. Joanna, what social media platform are you most active on?
Instagram for sure.
And is
And I'm
that
just
just your name?
Joanna Shupe there.
Okay.
But yeah, definitely Instagram.
All right. Nice and easy. Nice and easy. Well, Joanna, thank you so much for
Thank
joining me. It
you.
was great seeing you again. I really appreciate you coming on and talking with us about The Gilded Heiress. I know readers are going to love it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You bet. Many thanks to everyone listening. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Undercurrents of Romance. You can find more information about the show at tracydevlyn.com/podcast. Undercurrents of Romance is a proud member of the Authors on the Air Global Radio Network. I'll be back soon with another great romantic read. In the meantime, enjoy the adventure, everyone.